Happy to welcome you all to our 6th edition of our AI ML webinar series. For our first time attendees, you can check out our previous 5 sessions on our YouTube page. You can just search for FirstUniv and I think you should land right there. Last week, we had Dr. Puneet showing us a step-by-step approach on how to crack interviews at FANG companies. And he not only spoke about the skills required, but also the correct attitude and the mindset. I think one of the things that everyone constantly keeps asking is that, will a computer replace me? And that's a very harrowing question. And there's a lot of fear around that because that's something that we keep hearing a lot these days. Today, we are going to talk about jobs that of course, are tech focused, but human driven, and they'll always be around. My name is Dipit Sharma. I'm the Director for Alliances and Partnerships at FirstUniv and your moderator for today's session. And as always, we encourage you all to ask as many questions as you want via the chat box, and our panelists will be very happy to share their perspective on the same. Joining us today is Dr. Virender Rihani. Today we welcome Dr. Rihani, who's a graduate in BE Electronics from the renowned Delhi College of Engineering. Dr. Rihani is a veteran in the field of engineering and computer sciences. He has over 4 decades of experience. As a researcher, as an administrator, and as a teacher, Dr. Rihani has guided and mentored tens and thousands of students in his long and illustrious career, and he continues to do so till date. And welcome, Dr. Rihani. We are very, very happy to have you.
Thank you.
My pleasure, sir. And we have Ashish Khosla back again this week. Ashish is an engineer from PEC Punjab and an MBA from Calcutta. Ashish has served in several leadership roles in some of the best banks in the world like Citi, HSBC, and UMB, to name a few. Ashish also is an investor and a mentor for many tech-based startups, and also the president for innovation and technology at Shoolini and the director at Shoolini's AI School. Ashish is also the chief executive officer at AADDOO, which runs the FirstUniv platform. Welcome back, Ashish.
Thank you, Dipit. And before we start, I would say it's a real pleasure and honor for me to be here with Dr. Rihani, who is also my teacher, and he taught me computer science and electronics in PEC Chandigarh, PEC Chandigarh in the late 80s.
Yeah, that's right.
And you know, it's also a privilege to have him as the Dean of Engineering at Shoolini University these days. One thing when we started out, one thing he did say many years back, and this was more than 30 years ago, that he said, kids, and we were not yet in our 20s then, and he said, kids, you better study my subject properly, which was computer science, because I can tell you one thing for sure, these jobs in computer science are going to be there for you till you're 60 or 70 years old. And that thought has stayed the test of time. And so thank you for teaching so many students of my batch, so many of my class fellows, computer science at that early age, Dr. Rihani. And with that, we can start today's session, which is 5 jobs that never disappear. But I think what Dr. Rihani has to talk about first is 5 jobs that do disappear first, right?
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Ashish, for using very kind words for me. It's been my job, and I feel very happy when a student like you comes and says that I'm using what you taught me. It's really heartening. When we talk about automation, we know that automation will lead to some kind of change of job, and there will be some jobs which will be lost. So 50% of the work activities that are technically automable will automatically be automated. Whereas 30% of the remaining jobs are the ones which could be clubbed into maybe 5 or 6 out of 10. So that way we can reduce the requirement of manpower on that. But the manpower which becomes free or without any work there, they will be used for some other activities in a similar organization. The 5 jobs which, please keep that slide. Next slide, please. 50% of work activities are technically automable by adopting current technology. These are the technologies we are talking about. That is the computer science and many other things which are coming up, AI or many other such things, neural networks.
That's right.
And more than 30% of these activities are technically automable in around 6 in 10 jobs. So about 60% can be taken care of there also. Next slide,
you're very
please.
right, Dr. Rihani. Just to emphasize this point, in the financial services sector, I've worked in a few projects where we looked at jobs and which we previously thought were not automatable at all. And using even simple technologies like RPA or robotic process automation, we can see a lot of these jobs, very simple jobs, that an email comes in and the computer or the AI is able to read the email. And if it's a simple email, it's able to respond back immediately without any human interface. So jobs like that, even reading an email, picking up data from that email and populating in a database and processing that data. And for example, if there's a payment and there's an email, you pick up the data from the email, put it in the database and process the payment and make sure that the customer's payment is reflected in his account. Those things used to take actual people a lot of time to first do and then recon or reconcile. And that's something that can be automated completely using technology. So
yeah, you are right.
That's right.
You're right. I am aware of a company, insurance company,
yes,
which accepts the checks from the clients, and these checks are processed automatically. It is only towards the end, for the purpose of verification, that everything has been taken care of correctly. It is used, the manpower is used. Otherwise, everything is done automated fashion.
That's right.
And similarly, I came across certain applications recently, and one of the applications was that whenever in the large store some theft takes place, how is that theft to be taken care of? There are some software which are available today, using which the people can track who is the one who has done it. These things are available. So these are all the usage of new technologies which are coming up.
Exactly.
Next slide, please. The jobs that are going to disappear, and all of us are actually experiencing, travel agent. About 20 years ago, maybe even 15 years ago, whenever you had to travel abroad, one had to go to a travel agent to book a ticket. Today, the travel agent has become actually redundant, for the simple reason that you can book your ticket, you can plan your holiday, you can book your accommodation, you can book your taxi, whatever you're looking forward to on your mobile, as simple as that. Next is the drivers and co-pilots. Now, do we really require a co-pilot today with the kind of the aircraft we are using? I don't think so. So accordingly, the technology is there that a person who is driving the airplane will be supported and told about everything by this machine which is supporting him. The machine will take care of it. In fact, the planes have a facility of autopilot in which a airplane can be driven by the machine itself. That is the computer which is there, onboard computer, that will take care of this, and the pilot can move around. So that is the basic reason that the co-pilots are not going to be there for long. All basic accounts are certainly, as communicated by Mr. Ashish, Professor Ashish, are actually being done without the manpower today.
That's right, Dr. Rihani. We can see a lot of automation. Reconciliation used to be something where, the ledger is balanced by an accountant and he spends a lot of time doing the reconciliation, and these things are almost totally automated today.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Once the ERP has come into picture, once you have got the accounting system available, it is only at the entry level the data is to be picked up. Once that is done, everything is taken care of. Then mechanizable jobs, for example, the fast food. Any activity which is required to be carried out repeatedly can be done by the machine. So manpower will not be required there also.
And I've actually been to a few restaurants where they showcase that there's a robot who's making your food, and it's a assembly line process. The robot picks up the bun, and fast food, this is Western fast food, and the part of the burger, and through that whole process, one by one, they keep building on the burger, and finally you get a burger which is totally made by a robot. So there, the USP is that you always get the same burger through our technology and machine. So that's already happening, just as you just said right now.
I think some of us must have experienced that whenever you go to a McDonald's joint and you want to pick up you place an order, by the time you move around the building, your things are ready. So that means manually the things are being carried out very fast. So these can be replaced by the robots very easily. And it is a repetitive job. Either you'll have coffee or you'll have one or the two or the three different combinations which are there.
That's right.
And the next problem is going to be with the administrative legal jobs. This has already started. As long as we didn't have the legal system which was transparent, we had to have the manpower, the opinions had to be taken care of. Once it is objective and it is not subjective, the administrative legal jobs will no more be required. So they will vanish. The decision will be taken by the system which is developed. It can take care of, for example, somebody needs a leave. One should not put in an application today. One can straight away go to an application, the software application, and say that he needs a leave, and that will be taken care of.
That's very true, Dr. Rihani. There are quite a few startups, legal.ai, legaltele.ai.
That's right.
Which are already automating parts and parcels of the legal work, particularly the grunt work, which is reading through documents and finding where are the anomalies. If there is a section mentioned, is that section actually linked directly to the point in view? Is for example, the area of the court's decisions, looking at previous cases of similar types. AI is able to search databases and say, oh, a similar decision led to a decision, a similar case led to a decision in the past, and this is the decision in the past. So these things are actually, being automated by AI. So basically, what you're telling us, Dr. Rihani, is that robotics, to some extent, but largely artificial intelligence is coming in, and it's automating a lot of the jobs, quite a few jobs, and the whole point in future would be reskilling people. And getting a co-pilot to kind of drive an AI-driven machine, right? Something of that sort. Yep.
In fact, one has to imagine the possibility of using AI, and one can use it properly. You have the application, you plan it, one can do it.
That's right.
Only thing is this, there should be something which is repetitive in nature. That will be very fast.
Or if you're young, then you might as well start learning coding and the applications of artificial intelligence right now, so that you're on the leading edge of the curve and not the lagging one.
That's right. That's right. Next slide, please. And these are the reasons why the jobs will disappear. And each one of them is sharing the same characteristics. And these are all repetitive in nature and very low efficiency jobs. The productivity is low there. The profitability, as much as it sounds brutal to say, people do not make business profit. It is not the people who make the profit, it is the processes which make the businesses profit.
Yes.
These are very simple to automate. Very, very simple to automate. I remember when I was in Punjab Engineering College, the first application I gave to a group of students, it was early 80s, maybe 83, 84, maybe 85, was to automate the records of the faculty of Punjab Engineering College. Nobody was willing to give the record. It is as simple as that, because record is the most important thing for the people sitting on that location. They would never part with the record. So simple, anything which is simple and automated, that can be automated. It is flow. These jobs are also prone to fluctuating demands. Sometimes you may have a sudden demand, sometimes you may not have a demand at all. So such things can be taken care of by very few number of people, and software can be bought to replace that manpower also. So depending upon the volume of the work required, we may use the software or we may buy the machine for that activity. So anything you would like to say about this, Ashish ji?
I think it's very clear, and since you're talking about AI, there is a certain set of problems that the AI can solve today. And these problems are deterministic in nature. So wherever there is a model that can be fit in, which has a deterministic output. That can actually be solved, and that can be done by a computer with the right amount of programming. It's where creativity and nuances of understanding human emotions are involved. That's where, or when some issue of ethics is involved, as in medicine. And those are the kind of jobs that will stay for a longer period of time. But on the other hand, jobs which are repetitive, low efficiency, which can be programmed into a computer, or the computer can learn a pattern, right? And the pattern learning can be both supervised or unsupervised. And these are different ways of AI that AI works. If the computer can learn the pattern, then there's no doubt that that particular area can, or part of that job can be
automated.
Yes.
You're right. That's right. Next slide, please. Now, the 5 jobs unlikely to disappear are of liar, advocate. He is the one who would always be required, because the advocate comes into picture when there's a conflict between your opinion and the opinion of somebody else. And that opinion can only be shared with a liar who will try to now find out what is available in the records. Are similar cases there? Are any citations are already available? In case they are available, one can pick up. Otherwise, he has to work around to find out a solution to the problem of the client. And this is the most important role. In fact, in India, huge number, lakhs of cases are pending in the courts. Next is please,
Dr. Rihani, but people do say that maybe in countries like India, maybe they can speed up the time in courts using some assistance from technology.
And that I agree with you.
Yes, yes. But there's no doubt that the lawyer, to argue a case, to interpret it, because the same thing that is written can be interpreted in different ways, and for that, surely that role is going to be there.
In fact, I remember the time when the high courts were not accepting a petition which was printed on a printer. There was a time. Yes. And I had seen people struggling to get them cleared by the judges. The next role is very important, HR roles. These HR roles will never disappear, because people will need new people to join them. And on the basis of their performance, on the basis of the psychology and many other issues, the people will be hired. And for this purpose, HR role will never disappear. Your opinion on this, Professor Ashish?
Totally agree, Dr. Rihani. I mean, HR again is something that you need to encourage people to find the kind of skills that they will excel at. And therefore, you always need a coach to work with humans, and that's the role of human resources. And that's as long as human beings are working in any role, you will need a job like HR, even sales and marketing within management, business development. Those roles are unlikely to disappear.
Well, next area is the medicine. This is one area where the role of AI, ML, VR, AR is going to be very, very predominant. Without the help of AI, now the medicine cannot grow further. There are many cases which are for which the solutions are being found using the AI. I personally have taken care of some of those cases. For example, to find out the disease. Disease is not the disease is in the eye, using the image available through the machine. That's one. Second could be, if you are giving a medicine to a particular patient, for example, of leukemia, what is going to be the prognosis of that patient based on the results you have been observing? So that is another important area. Today, with the improvement in the technology, both medical as well as AI, people are able to find out the kind of tumor you have and what kind of a treatment could be given to that. It's a major role which is being played by that. Then there are many areas you think about it and you can find out wherever the diagnosis is involved and the expertise is available only with the doctors, that can be automated. This thing is being carried out very, very in a very large fashion. In the medicine, the robotic surgery is another area which has come up, and pretty expensive as of now, but very, very fine and very, very effective technology which has come up. Your opinion, Ashish ji?
Yes, there's no doubt. There's a little bit of ethics around medicine, For example, if a doctor does, sometimes they do veer on making a wrong decision, that's acceptable, but that's within the sphere of human knowledge. But what happens when a computer does something wrong, and what is the ethics of that? How should we punish the computer? So there is actually a field of ethics that is coming out as to how do you evaluate AI and how do you create a norm around AI? Because here is a decision that has been taken away from human beings. So you do not know for sure what's happening. If an AI says there is a problem or does something during the surgery, what will really happen if it's a wrong decision? So there's a huge play around ethics. But that said, just as you said, robotic surgery is coming up in a big way. And we've seen that if you want a very precision cut, then a robot can do a fine cut in in a fraction of a millimeter. It can do a micron measurement of a cut, which is difficult to do by even the best trained surgeon. So that's where robotic surgery is coming in. Similarly, just as Dr. Rihani said, in identifying diseases, and he's done some work around, for example, in the eye diseases. At Shoolini, we've done work in cancer early detection and Alzheimer's early detection. So we've seen its, results are coming up, and AI can do some work there. But that said, doctors with their insights about medicines are not going to go anywhere in our lifetimes, at least.
In fact, there will be more and more dependence of the doctors on AI. So that is the one which is going to support them.
That's right. That's right.
Those things which were not thought about are being carried out by the robotic surgery. For example, if you have some problem with your spinal cord, that is being taken care of with the help of this. Otherwise, nobody could ever imagine anybody will touch the spine.
Exactly.
That's what is happening now.
That's right. That's right. Also in early detection, it's very difficult for a doctor who's loaded with multiple patients to look at it. Through early detection, he can identify out of 103 patients who need to go through the entire series of testing, for example, in an early detection of cancer. So that's also where AI can help doctors. So that's what they're saying. Technology in this case will help the medicine professionals and not replace them.
Another example in this area could be whenever an MRI is carried out of any part of the body, images are available.
Yes.
And unless the images are interpreted, nothing can be done. So that interpretation can be carried out by the AI based on the knowledge which the individual has gathered and programmed into the machine. That is also being done.
That's right.
IT system analyst, I would leave this to you, Ashish. You will be able to talk better about it.
So if you're developing systems, be it as a full stack programmer or backend systems or front end systems, if you're working in areas like AI, ML or DevOps, cloud computing, these jobs are going to be there because, even though they're saying at some point of time, we will be able to get assisted coding or no code coding or computers can code. But even if all that happens, to really come out with efficient programs and efficient codings and maintaining the whole systems, you'll need IT system analysts of various types. And that job, again, is something that you might as well prepare for right now. Even to guide an AI system or a machine learning system, you will need somebody at the back end who's a system analyst who's preparing the whole thing and controlling it. So that job is there.
That's
and
right.
The next point also, Dr. Rihani, the one that you mentioned here, artificial intelligence, machine learning, AR, VR, DevOps. Those jobs are going to be here because these are still developing areas.
Yeah, they're still developing.
Yes, at some point of time, people say, Elon Musk, for example, says that at some point of time, AI will be much smarter than human beings. And what will human beings do then? I mean, that's the point. But that's again it's a broader theoretical debate. The point is that, again, in the next 20, 25 years, these jobs will be at the forefront of improving technology for all of us.
That's right. A lot of new technologies which are coming up, they are out of the Star Trek movie.
Yes, exactly.
So
that's right.
That's what is happening today.
Exactly. And creativity is something which
that's very
so
important.
Far, machines have not been able to put their, mechanical feet into. And as long as you can link creativity and working with humans and coding and software engineering or other forms of engineering with that, all these roles around engineering, IT system analysts, and new technologies are there to stay.
That's right. Can we have the next slide, please? The jobs that will stay all have a clear reliance on significant level of human inputs. That is what we have been talking about. The jobs that will stay all have it is repeated by mistake. I've done it. It's my mistake.
Okay.
So I think
this is like a coding. Repeating the same code twice. But very valid point. If you have a reliance on human input, and it cannot be automated, if it's a gray area which the computer cannot totally replicate, those jobs are there. So the whole idea is to, if you're planning your career right now for the next 15, 20 years, to look at it through like a looking glass and see what's going to happen to this 5, 10 years down the line, this area and this area, this industry, and then plant yourself in the right industry, and that's the opportunity youngsters have today, right?
They have to take a call and make a decision. What is to be done? They have to plan now.
Yeah, they should look at their interests, areas of interest, and all these new technologies are so interesting actually, and see where they can position their own strengths and interests and move into that area. Because I think now you have so many interesting jobs there, Dr. Rihani. If you can
that's right.
Through some of these,
some of the technologies which are going to be there, the jobs which are going to be there, they're really, really interesting. They are, in fact, some of them look like a fairy tales. You can't imagine. The first is the brain reading robots. That's an interesting thing. Very, very. In this, what is being done is that on the skull, on the head of a individual, a kind of a cap is placed, and on which there are a number of sensors. These sensors pick up the electroencephalogram signals, and these are communicated to a robot. The signals, based on the signals which are being generated by the brain of the individual, the control of the robot takes place. For example, if you want to move it to maybe 1 feet ahead or 2 feet to the left or 2 feet right, you need to generate such signals. In fact, this particular technique is going to be useful for all those people whose upper part of the body does not work properly, or they are unable to move their upper part of the body. A lot of work has been done, but still the amount of fineness with which the motion has to take place is not there. So work is going to be carried out. Your opinion on this?
This is a very interesting area, Dr. Rihani. In fact, 28th Feb was the World Science Day, and I was taking a lecture for school students there. And one thing I shared with them, and I said, you need to tell me if it's fact or fiction, is that Elon Musk and one of his companies, they put a chip inside a chimpanzee's brain. And now the chimpanzee can play video games just with his mind without any other interface, right? Is it fact or fiction? And around 85% of the students raised their hand when they said it's fiction, while actually this is something that's been done, right? So that whole line between what we thought was possible and what we thought was not possible is disappearing so very fast.
That's
these are genuinely technologies of the future.
I agree with you. The brain reading robots is a part. What you said is a different thing. That is implants. What kind of implants you can put there?
Yes.
One of the earliest implant was when you were trying to use the pacemaker in the heart. That was the first one. So like that, there are many things which have come up.
Exactly.
The second area which is going to be very important for the medicine is the 3D printing. That is for printing the bones. It has been observed, at least in many of the Western world, the doctors are not available to a patient who has a broken arm or a leg immediately because they are so much tied up with the other activities. So now what is required is to be done is to take a MRI of the area which is painful, and based on that, a company accepts that data and prints the bone which is required to replace the original. And then surgeon has to put this particular thing into the body of the human being. And it has been observed that when this bone is inserted into the part of the body itself adjusts, and the bone also gets used to the various motions which take place, various chemicals which are there, and almost becomes normal to what was the normal. Your opinion on this?
Totally, Dr. Rihani, we saw that, and you did some work there as well at PEC and PE and PG.
That's right.
They have a collaboration where PEC PEC at PEC they do the 3D printing, and the images are sent to them by PGI Chandigarh, and that's already happening. It's technology of today done in India.
That's right. Next is the lab-made dairy products. This is a very, very important thing which has to be looked at. About 4% of the carbon which is generated worldwide is because of the dairy products. We have milch animals who consume a lot of things, a lot of greenery, and in turn generate milk or whatever it is. In case we are able to generate the dairy product which we require for our daily use in a lab, the possibility of reducing the carbon generation is significant. As much as 1/8 of the carbon which is generated by the normal system is going to be generated by the lab-made dairy. This could be your milk, it could be your cheese, it could be your ice cream, it could be your steak or whatever it is. So one can actually, and it is being done right now on a limited fashion, which results into a lot of saving the world because of the heavy amount of carbon which is being generated. Your opinion, Ashish?
Very true, Dr. Rihani. We have lab milk made by yeast. And not only milk, we've also seen Impossible Foods, which is a company, and I had a burger from Impossible Foods, which is a meat burger, but actually it's made from
that's right, lab.
So lab-made products are coming into mainstream very gradually.
Another device which generates a lot of carbon is the aircraft. They use the normal aviation fuel, which is generating a lot of carbon, and carbon is the one which is creating a lot of problems worldwide. The change in the environment, a lot of things are happening because of high amount of carbon dioxide which is there in the atmosphere. So hydrogen planes are the ones which use hydrogen to generate the energy for movement of the plane or flying. The result of this is that the hydrogen generates the energy and gives you the thrust for the plane to move ahead. Already it has been tested on a small distance and with limited number of manpower, with limited number of passengers. So in future, we might see more number of hydrogen planes rather than the conventional planes which we are using. Your take, Ashish ji?
Totally agree, Dr. Rihani. Not too much into design of planes these days. Yeah, but I do know that the fuel cell technology is holding back hydrogen. Also, they need high pressure in the fuel area itself to be stored. That's been, slowly improvements are coming in there. And though people do say that don't expect hydrogen planes till 2035, the point it is definitely still technology of the future.
Another area which is going to be very, very useful for doctors as well as individuals is the digital twins that track your health. This is really interesting. Whenever we have a problem, we go to a doctor. He may carry out some kind of a test on a particular part of the body, depending upon where the problem is. And one can get some medicine or some kind of a treatment and you'll be over with that. In this case, a twin of the body is generated. Twin of the body is generated to an extent that more than hundreds of tests are carried out over a period of a couple of hours of the human body, and all the records are maintained by the hospital or the doctor. So whenever, by taking these tests, by getting their data, the doctors know which part of the body has what issues of an individual. Whenever in future the individual has an issue, the doctor can always look at the twin which is already available to him and see if something is done to a particular part, what will be its impact on the other parts of the body. So this is going to be very, very useful. Very, very useful.
This is really interesting. This is a next level of personalized medicine.
Yeah, right? That is very, very interesting thing now.
Yes, that's right. Yes. So we also therefore need people who are trained in medicine but no coding. Those.
Yeah, that's right.
intersection of areas is getting also
multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary activities to be carried out.
That's right. Yeah.
Next is the virtual reality universe. I think Professor Ashish would be able to do more justice to
students here, and they've obviously probably more experience in on these virtual reality games. They know more about it, but as we know, Facebook is saying they're no longer called Facebook; they're called Meta.
Meta, that's right.
It's a virtual reality world, and that's coming all over us. It's coming in health, it's coming in education, it's coming in social applications. So more and more what we'll be seeing in the next maybe 2 to 5 years is you put on a piece of specs and you are transported to a different world. You meet your teacher, you meet your doctor, you meet your friend in that virtual world, and you can go there directly as yourself, or you can go as an avatar into that job, into that universe. And that's happening so fast that one day it's going to be there, and people like me will just be wondering what's happened to people in the real world.
That's right.
As a millennial, I just have one small thing to add. People are now also getting married in the metaverse.
Oh, yes, that's right.
That's right. That's interesting.
So, Dipet, we look forward to you inviting us to your marriage in the virtual world.
Absolutely, yeah. I'll send an invite for sure.
Fine, thank you. Okay.
Next is the direct air capture. Now, this is something which is certainly help us in reducing the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. We know very clearly by using the photosynthesis, the trees they catch the carbon dioxide and give us the oxygen. The objective is we must get the fresh oxygen also. In the direct air capture, the carbon dioxide is sucked out of the atmosphere, and it is either stored, compressed and stored underground, or second, it could be used for generating some kind of a fuel also. So not much has been done on this, and it is not, as of now, in the it is not really available today, but it has been thought about that this would certainly help us reducing the carbon in the atmosphere.
I totally concur with that, Dr. Rihani. I mean, these are technologies which are coming in, which can totally change the world around us as well, and, the UN has come out with its Sustainable Development Goals 2030, and improving the environment is a key part of that. Hopefully, technologies like direct air capture will actually change the way
that's right.
We look at pollution, for example, in cities like Delhi and Bangalore in India.
Yeah. Next is the green funeral. Well, the body has to go. It has to be disposed of. We Hindus have a typical way of disposing of the body, and a lot of fuel goes into it, and it generates huge amount of carbon dioxide. So it is being suggested and it is being implemented right now. Whenever the body is available, it could be put along with some parts of the wood and put into a kind of a cask and left there along with certain enzymes. In a matter of 30 days time, the body will vanish and will become as powder as the earth is. So this is one area where one has to be very, very serious about implementing, because the person who's born has to die and the body has to be disposed of. Whether it is a Muslim, whether it's a Christian, whether it is Parsi, whether it is a Hindu, the body has to be disposed of. Whatever technique is adopted, it generates huge amount of carbon dioxide. So one has to take it very seriously that green funerals might help us in reducing the carbon footprint. Your take on this, Professor Ashish?
So I concur, and again, these are ways that we can control pollution. If you move on to the next one, artificial eyes, and that's something that really is a fascinating idea, because the thought is if eyes are dead or partially dead, they're gone forever. The thought is, can a camera with a direct link into the optical fiber and then to the brain replace the eye for such people? And the answer is, actually, there has been one commercially approved what is called bionic eye or artificial eye. Yeah. And so that's coming in, and people are saying, you can actually have eyes all over the place. So you can train people with 5 eyes, and you can have 1 eye at your home, and you can see through that, 1 eye behind you. So besides medicine, these things will have some other future.
In the future ill effects also.
That's right.
In fact, whenever we were talking about artificial eye, it was always thought that it's going to be outside the head. It will be outside the body.
Yes.
So
yes.
recently, some experiments have been carried out. Some Belgians have carried out some work on this.
Yes.
And they have actually put the eye into the socket of the eye and connected it with the optical nerve, resulting into the vision being made available to the individual. That's very, very interesting and very, very interesting.
Yeah. The only thing right now in artificial eye, apparently it costs 1 crore rupees, and these technology is still not proven. So it's just a matter of time before these things become more and more available to the masses.
Well, next issue is the drown forest fires in sound.
Wow.
That is really interesting. It's an interesting concept. I was watching the TV today, where I saw something that is, there's some kind of a bomb that has been used, which is known as a vacuum bomb, which sucks everything which is around it and finishes it.
Amazing.
So
interesting.
That is basically about the pressure, air pressure. This particular thing, that topic, drown forest fires in the sound, is very, very useful in the areas of US or Canada, and in the European countries also. Forest fires are prevalent. They start because of many reasons, because of negligence of the human being or because of the heat or whatever it could be. And they continue for years, for months together, burning everything around this. The sound, whenever a sound bomb is used, it generates a sound wave. The sound wave generates in such a strength, that for a couple of moments, the oxygen which is available to the fire, that is lost. Consequently, one can control the fire, which doesn't happen otherwise. So using the drones, one can generate the sound bomb, which will ensure that oxygen supply to the fire is not available, leading to the extinguishing of the fire. Your take now.
Great, Dr. Rihani. Thanks for sharing these 10 very interesting ideas on the future of technologies and also taking the time to explain these in detail. I understand you've got only these, you have some other ones as well, which are in the same direction, right?
Yeah, there are many more.
Yeah, so basically it tells us there are so many new areas where technology is coming in and creating new jobs, right? So, my understanding is that the whole idea is that one needs to involve oneself with one of these concepts or new ideas and try to master that, work on a project as part of one's education in any of these areas, right? And surely it will lead you to interesting results, not only for yourself, but also for the country and humanity in general. Yeah, so I can see so many living robots, the AI scientists, car batteries which are rechargeable, cyborgs which are robots, right? Holidays in space. Okay. Yes, they have already started. Billionaires have started going out and holidays in space. And I remember jetpack, you mentioned it here. I remember reading this comic, Flash Gordon.
Yeah, that's right.
And they used to have jetpacks. And instead of walking, they used to press the button and go flying from one place to the other.
That's right. That's right.
Basic prototypes are already available. It'll be good if some student from the audience today is able to look at some of these and start working on them. Self-healing living concrete, that's...
this is really interesting.
Yeah, that's right, yes. Yeah, where concrete or even metal self-heals after it breaks, it comes back in form.
The most important thing for a civil engineer would be energy storing bricks. That's very important. Number 12. That's very, very important for them. So they can store the energy and generate heat, whatever you want to do.
Oh, yes, that's right.
All the walls could be made out of this.
That's right. Drones is another one, by the way. So,
Yeah.
Drones is getting, and we're also getting to, looking at drones at Shoolini and seeing how we can kind of bring in a set of expertise there. Because drones, we know for a fact, drones in agriculture, drones in security, these are getting more and more interest from governments and industries across the world. Yeah, drones in delivering packages as well, just like
that's right. That's right. That's very important.
So thank you for bringing these 21 key points to our audience, Dr. Rihani. And I think you have a few more slides, right, Dr. Rihani? I think if you could please move on. Thank you.
Yeah. So engineering is everywhere. Whatever you want to, wherever you see, you will have engineers there. Some engineering activity is there, whether you talk about your mobile, whether you talk about your watch, whether you talk about a baby which is in the incubator. So everywhere the engineering is there. So these have been created and now they are being used for the benefit of the mankind.
That's true. That's 100% true.
Yeah. Well, the engineers make the world and engineers help run the world. Engineers build the future world also. So whatever we have talked about the future technologies is basically towards building the future world.
Exactly.
That's it.
That's very true.
That's it.
So the whole thought is that, if you can gain technical expertise in an area, and an area that is likely to stay for a longer period of time, right? You are going to make a major impact in the world, right? At the same point of time, you have to choose your technology. For example, let's look at it. I was in a conference the other day where we had the senior management of automobile industry there with us. And they were saying that, the automobile industry is moving away from small mechanical parts, which are there in cars of today, to electrical cars, which have large number of larger size, but smaller number of parts.
Parts.
So that's good. And a larger requirement for electrical engineering, for example, and computers. So you have to choose what area you want to specialize in by trying to visualize the future. And who better than somebody like Dr. Rihani to help us think of what's going to happen in the future, because he's got the insight that comes from looking at the past and how evolution of technology is actually taking place.
I think I'll share 2-3 things about my life.
Yep.
I learned programming in the year 73. Started using it in 76, 77 for my MTech thesis. Wanted to introduce programming in Punjab Engineering College. Had a tough time fighting with my seniors. Introduced it as one chapter in a final year. Ultimately brought it down to 3rd semester in 2 languages being taught. That was Fortran, that is formula translation, as well as Pascal. And from there on, there's no end to it. So it's a struggle. One has to do it. I was having passion for it, so we did it. So I request all the students that they must have some kind of a passion for the technology. Once you have the passion, you'll be able to achieve whatever you are imagining today and succeed in your life.
That's right. And this is a very good way to end the lecture by saying engineers do all the cool stuff. That's true.
Everything is cool. Whatever you do, you enjoy.
That's right. That's right. So I think that brings us to the end of the lecture. That's right.
Yeah.
So thank you, Dr. Rihani. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Ashish.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rihani.
Are there any questions from the...
We do have 2 questions, actually. One is from Dinesh, who wants to know that what can he expect in terms of jobs and salary. He's completed his diploma in computer science after class 10. So Dinesh would like to maybe get a rough idea or an insight on that.
Dinesh, difficult to answer that, right? Dr. Rihani, depends on your level of skills.
Yeah, that's right. The level of your knowledge and expertise.
Are you a web developer? Are you a backend developer? What skills do you have? Are you a what is called a full stack developer? Where are you? What languages do you know? HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Python, and to what extent have you worked in frameworks like Node.js so that you can be easily employable? So that depends on the level of skills. It's as simple as that. And the good thing about the computer industry is that it doesn't matter more than your qualifications, your ability to work on projects matters. I mean, let's look at it. Facebook employs engineers, but the The person who created Facebook was in his first year of college, right? And and he himself has not completed his college. So it depends on the level of capability that you are at. So, that's my answer to you. We can, of course, have a counseling session to you and see what is it that you really need to, look at to, get a suitable job. Because I do believe, and we've seen that, we've done searches, by the way, on jobs and that's a research area that we're looking at. How many jobs are available in computer science? So in an area like AI ML, we looked at 7th Feb. There were 37,000 jobs available for machine learning engineers or machine learning experts. There were 131,000 jobs on the same day, 131,000 jobs for front-end developers. So, there's still so many vacancies, so many companies who say we need the right kind of people. Of course, the skills also have to be there at the right level. So it's a mix of a lot of jobs there, reasonably good to very good salaries. Skill sets required need to be there, right? But my belief is that everybody in India can code. We've seen students coming from nowhere and being able to pick up coding in anywhere from 5 to 12 months, right? And getting very good at it, right? And sometimes kids are able to, code better, particularly when it comes to things like hacking and, working out their own kind of shortcuts. They're better than their teachers sometimes, and they pick it up over a very small period of time. Right, Dr. Rihani, you've seen.
Yeah, I appreciate what you said. Very right, very right. The fertile young minds can find solution to very, very complicated problems and very fast.
Yes.
Thank you both for answering that. Sorry, Dinesh, there's no black and white answer for that question. And Sudhanshu actually has a very interesting question, which is, what happens to a cancer patient's body through the green funeral process?
Well, it is an interesting thing. Remember, I said that whenever the body has to be disposed of, it is put into some kind of a cask and something is added to it. Over a period of time, it ensures that everything is gone. And ultimately, it's going to be used as a manure. That is the level at which these enzymes or germs work, and they finish off everything. So cancer will have no role to play here. Once the body is dead, only thing is the part which was cancerous, that will also become dead. It is as good as any other part of the body. It is not live anymore. Is that right?
Right.
Ashish, any take on this?
Okay, I think again, I'm not an expert, but your explanation looks logical.
Yeah.
Right, so.
We've got one more, and this is something that we get in almost every session. Himanshu wants to know how many months or years does it take for someone to become an AI or ML expert?
Himanshu, depends on how you define expert, right? And it also depends where you are. So I was speaking to a couple of AI ML experts, and you've met, if you look at some of our previous discussions, Kushal Rao, Dr. Kushal, Kanwar is an expert, so is Dr. Gaurav, and they say we are still working. It's a lifelong process to be a real expert. But if you ask Kushal, what is the minimum time it takes to start hitting the level where you can get AI ML? If you already know coding, around a month. If you don't know coding, then you need to work with a good coach, and it'll take 5 to 6 months at the minimum to start position. And if you work very hard enough with a good coach to come at a level that you can be taken in as an AI ML employee by the industry. So it depends on what you're looking at, right? So AI ML expert, well, definitely 2 to 3 years. AI ML entry-level employee, if you know coding, 1 month, 2 months, where you can start. Depends on how good you are in the basics also. For example, maths is one. If you haven't done too much coding in the past, then definitely you need a minimum of 5 to 6 months with hardcore coaching and a lot of input from your side, working on real projects, and then you can get up the curve. But I think you should not wait for those 5-6 months, depending what class you're in. You should do it now. You should start working on your skill set right now, so you can come up the curve and make a career in this very interesting domain.
I would like to add here that if you become expert, then learning stops.
That's right.
So you will always be learning. At the age what I am, I learn every day. So don't say that I'm an expert. No, I'm not expert.
Right. So that's very nice and very modest of you to say that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rihani and Ashish, for that lovely answer. And I would urge the participants, to, of course, ask more questions. It's not every day that we get Dr. Rihani to join us. So, I would request all of you to maybe ask a few more questions. And if you don't have any questions right now, you can always send them to us later, and we'll try getting Dr. Rihani to answer them. But until then, as always, it's always very insightful for us to have these sessions, and I think we can see that over the weeks, we've really got a good sort of understanding as to what exactly it is that you can achieve through here. And of course, at FirstUniv, the whole idea for us to do these webinars is to make sure that you are fully aware of the possibilities and the exciting future ahead should you choose a life in this field, and should you go ahead and enroll for this course. We'll of course have more of these sessions. We'll have more experts, including Dr. Rihani, to come and talk to you during your course, to of course provide you with that mentorship and guidance and help you choose that dream career in the field of AI and ML. And of course, as mentioned, we are here to help in whichever we can. Our responsibility doesn't stop after you've completed and got certified. We also want to make sure that we help you get that job in your dream organization. So, that is what we have in mind for you. And of course, our counselors are in touch with you. So if there are any questions or concerns, please do let them know. Okay, we've got one question. Can I pursue this program offline?
Yeah, you can definitely, if you want, you can enroll as a student. Next session in June, July, you can do a one-year course. So, we do have an 11-month course at Shoolini. Again, you get around this time, you get around 18, 19 certificates from IBM, and you can do a postgraduate course if you're a graduate at Shoolini University in AI ML, for example. Yeah. So you can do that Mansimar, you can do it offline.
Right. I think that's it. I don't see anyone typing. So I think we'll close today's session. And thank you again, Dr. Rihani. It was a pleasure hearing your thoughts. And of course, good to have you back, Ashish. And